Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. I am back with a brand new Isagi What If. Sorry that this is gonna come out late. I've been kind of just like a little bit out of it, and kind of got lost track of time here for a little bit, so my fault about that. But still, this is coming out, so hope y'all enjoy it nonetheless. This is What If Isagi had a Sharingan weapon. I think this got suggested. I know something similar got suggested, so shout out to whoever kind of suggested this, but it was kind of phrased differently. I don't know, something like that. But nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoy, and if y'all continue to enjoy the what ifs, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, comment down below, all that good stuff. And yeah, that's it. I don't have anything else to say. Let's get right into the what if. Let's get it. Isagi Yoichi is absolutely insane on the field. There's a feeling of just superiority when you're standing on the field against people you know you are so much better than. And frankly, I hate to say it, but Isagi feels that way a lot of the time. He outshoots, outscores, outmaneuvers many people. And he continues to do this over and over and over again. Isagi Yoichi is an absolute animal on the field. And frankly, it sometimes feels as if there's no stopping him at all. He races down the field, and it seems as if no one is even able to keep up with the intensity he plays the game at. But at the same time, the whole mantra of, oh, his teammates first and this and that, it kind of slips by the mind of Isagi. He doesn't care about all that. He not only wants to win, but he also wants to show everyone on the field how much greater he is than everyone else. Now, with that said, Isagi would be playing in his tournament match, racing down the field, down 1-0. Isagi darts by person after person. His movements seem to be so quick and precise, but at the same time, it feels as if nobody knows exactly what direction he's even going and where he's taking the ball next. Isagi would dip and dodge and eventually get right outside the penalty area, and he would see to his right that there was someone waiting, that there was someone right there that he could pass to, a wide open goal. Isagi, though, would fake the pass, and immediately the defender would be off of him as he looks to score a goal. As he kicks the goal, or as he kicks to score the goal, the goalie would dive. And to him, it seemed as if he was directly on the ball, like he was straight up about to save it easily, and he would dive to his far left, but the ball would be to his far right. Yeah, it would be completely out of his range, completely out of his realm of being able to see it, and completely out of reach entirely. Isagi's eyes would kind of show this like red pigment, as if his eyes themselves would go red, and actually it would be explained by a doctor that only in intense and really hyper situations, like when he plays football, is the reason why his eyes would tint to a red color. They don't really know much else. They don't know if it contributes to anything, but many believe that this red tint is this serious mode or this kind of crazy version of his way of playing football. No one truly knows what this is. They have very little understanding of an existence of this kind of abnormality. Maybe it's just some sort of disease. Maybe it's some sort of genetic misfire or misfunction. But nonetheless, does it really matter? He is a freak on the field, and he absolutely scores the goal, putting 1-1. As Kira would take the ball and begin pushing down the field to retaliate, out of nowhere Isagi would come barreling in, stealing the ball, and everybody standing there shocked. Kira basically gave him the ball. It was as if he easily just passed Isagi the ball, but Kira's confused. He swore his teammate was wide open, but it's as if Isagi showed him something else, showed him his teammate being wide open, but then he stole the ball with ease, taking it down the field, and again he would score the goal with the goalie diving the opposite direction immediately. Now, them winning, they win the game 2-1, and Kira watches as his chances to win nationals now crumble at his own feet. Kira stands there in complete shock. How? How did he do this? How did this happen? This is insane. Isagi stands there cheering with his teammates. His coach would celebrate as well. I mean, as a coach who derives off of, well, oh, we want teamwork, but who can complain after you just win the biggest game of their high school career at the moment? It doesn't matter that their whole team was, well, teamwork. All that matters is that they got the win. They won 2-1, and frankly, everybody just celebrates, is excited. And Isagi, well, he celebrates with his team, but he knows that his journey to being the greatest striker that he can possibly become is far from over. And after the celebration, he would basically bike home, and he would watch as the little kids play football, on the left side of him on a big field. And he would bike by and eventually arrive at home. When he would arrive at home, he would actually be handed a letter. This letter would read as an invitation to, well, the one and only Blue Lock. Isagi doesn't know what this is quite yet, doesn't even know that it's necessarily Blue Lock itself, but he knows that it's some sort of training camp, a training camp for the best strikers alive. So he decides that whatever this is, and if it makes him better, that's where he wants to go. He would then leave the next day, and when he would arrive at this so-called training camp, this giant auditorium, Kira would be there waiting as well. They would walk in together and be talking about the game that they had and just what type of player Isagi is. I mean, he's a freakish athlete and also an amazing player, but when he arrives and they begin listening to Jinpachi Ego, they can tell that this whole scene, this whole thing that's going on is far different than they could possibly imagine. Jinpachi Ego has set them up for something greater than they could possibly imagine. Jinpachi Ego has now brought in a new age of Japan strikers. He wants them to become the greatest, but they're going to have to work their way to it. And he explains that there are many versions of a striker that many people need to become, but the greatest strikers of them all have something known as an ego, and they are egoists. And every last one of them, if they want to be the best striker in the world, they need to be egoists as well. Of course, Kira would disagree with this, wanting to prove him wrong. That's the only reason why he would join Blue Lock, but even the stakes of Blue Lock are insanely high. The stakes of Blue Lock are, well, as you can tell, if you lose, you're out forever. No Japan national team, no chance at Japan's national team, and you're just a loser for life. Now, he tells everybody, Jinpachi Ego tells them all, if they don't care about being the best, they don't care about taking the next step to being the greatest striker in the world in Japan and lead Japan's national team to the World Cup, well then, lock off now. Isagi would stand there, and his eyes would begin flashing red as if it's a high-pressure moment and situation. Isagi would step up first, and he would walk forward toward the door. He would be ready to take on whatever's to come. Ego, or Jinpachi Ego, would stare at Isagi, and he would look at him and smirk. He would see in his eyes as they flash red back and forth, as they spin as if it's some whirlpool of emotions flooding through Isagi. Jinpachi Ego knows who this kid is. This kid, he sees the field and sees things and makes things happen before anybody could even possibly imagine, to the extent that it's as if he's some sort of reality-bending character, that he is the main character of this story. Jinpachi Ego would see this person as one of the unpolished gems that are just a little shinier than the others. Isagi would walk through, and all eyes would be on him. It was obvious that Isagi has this aura around him when he gets on his outfit, when he walks into his Team Z locker room, and he stands there with everyone else. You can tell that there's something, a giant chip on his shoulder. But with that said, Isagi would stare at everybody that's around him, and eventually they would get news about what the first event looks like. The first event would be simple enough, a game of tag. No, not like the tag that you have to touch a person on the arm, on the back, or whatever. No, this is far different. This game of tag involves you kicking the ball and hitting somebody with it. Whoever gets hit is it, and whoever got hit last is, well, out entirely and has to lock off. There's 12 of you, and they want to get them down to 11, so the ball drops from the sky or from the roof, and 2 minutes and 16 seconds are put on a clock. Now they begin. It's an all-out brawl. They begin kicking the ball back and forth. Some are trying extremely hard not to get hit. Some are trying extremely hard to hit other people. Others not really caring, laying on the ground sleeping. Isagi just stands there as the ball zips around and he easily dodges it. His eyes moving extremely fast, tracking the ball with ease. And on top of that, his eyes flickering and also staying this solid color of red. Everybody kind of sees his eyes and kind of are off-putted by it. And eventually Isagi would get the ball toward him, and he could easily dodge. It's coming right toward him, but instead he gathers the ball and he begins to sit with it. He looks at the clock, seeing that there's a minute left, and he begins dribbling it around, telling everybody that this version of football will be so much different than the one they could possibly imagine. And frankly, he's seen so many things so far. He sees the way every single one of them look at the ball, but this is kind of boring. I mean, it's getting boring. Maybe they up the ante a little bit. Isagi would dash forward toward Kira, kicking the ball so hard toward Kira's face. Kira would dodge, but everybody would be confused. Kira dodged into the ball, hitting him directly in the stomach as he would just stagger back. Kira would dash toward Isagi, trying to get him back for it, but nope, Isagi would dodge, sliding under Kira and easily dodging where the ball is. Kira would look to his side, seeing Bachira on the ground, and he would look for an easy out and try to kick the ball toward Bachira, but Bachira would actually wake up and kick Kira right in the face. Bachira would yawn, saying that was kind of a lame way of going about it, as he would kick the ball back to Isagi. Isagi would tell Kira that he's not cut out for this, and he's known from the very beginning that he's not cut out for this. He kicks the ball toward Kira, nailing him in the ribcage as Kira would crumble to the ground, and Kira would look at Isagi, and the last thing he would see is his eyes spinning. The red of Isagi's eyes as it spins, as he sees things differently than anyone else, but as the numbers on the clock hit 0, his eyes would fade and disappear to his normal color, his normal black-eyed color. Everyone would stand there in complete and utter shock. Isagi looks to be a different type of player, but Bachira is excited, thinking that he found a monster that he gets to play with himself. And with all that done, all that said, Jinpachi Ego shows up on his TV screen telling them all that this event is over and that Kira needs to lock off. Kira begins to freak out, saying that it can't be him. There's no way that he's the worst out of all of them. It's just not even true. It's not close. But Isagi obviously would step in and he would say that it's obviously true that it's him. I mean, if he was that good, he just wouldn't have gotten hit. It's that simple. And Kira would see Isagi's face, and it's as if this is a brand new player from what he knew. The competitive environment has now changed Isagi even greater than before. Yes, Isagi wanted his own goals before, had some arrogance and egoist mentality to it, but now it's even different. Now it's far, far different. Isagi is now completely locked in on one thing, and one thing only, being the greatest in Blue Lock. Kira would eventually leave after throwing a temper tantrum, and there would be 11 people left, and they would make up Team Z of Blue Lock. Now, everything would fall into place. 11 players, and Jinpachi Ego would explain to them exactly what they're capable of and what they're going to do. Now, what they're going to do is simple. They're going to take on 4 different teams. They're going to play in 4 different matches, and as long as they're placed in top 2, They don't have to worry about not going through to the next round. Now, if they don't place in the top 2 of all the teams and they lose and they're in the bottom 2, the person with the most goals on their team, or accumulative points, being that if you get points from assists and goals, that one person will then be pushed on through. Now, he tells them once again that they have a chance here. 11 players, team of strikers, that they will work together, have fun together, and they will challenge each other. But sometimes they will even betray each other. This is the name of the game in Blue Lock, and if you want to survive, you have to be ready to do whatever it takes to win. Jinpachi Ego would leave, and the name of Team Z versus Team X would show up, and it seems like the first team that they'll be taking on is Team X. That game would happen the very next day, and Isagi's team would have mild planning, but let's be honest, everybody there, if not most of them, are loose cannons. They all line up and get ready for whatever's to come, and Isagi gets ready to see what the field has to offer him. His eyes begin to flicker and then become the red color that everybody's been waiting for, and they want to see what he's capable of on a football field. The ball would drift forward, but then quickly everybody kind of clashes and stumbles, and eventually the ball would kind of go haywire. Everybody would scratch and claw toward the ball, trying to get it for themselves. They need a score because they need to make sure they have the most goals. And eventually a monster of a man by the name of Baro would come out of nowhere, taking the ball away from them. And Isagi, well, he was waiting for this, meeting the big man right in the middle as Baro tries to make a move on him. He tries to pop the ball over Isagi, but quickly Isagi would jump for it as if he was already sky high in the air as the ball was getting kicked, and he would nudge it back toward the ground. And of course Baro would be confused, but again he would tack the ball. But quickly as he tries to swing his foot toward the ball, it's as if he swung through air. The ball is no longer there, and Isagi is already 5 yards down the field. Whoa, where's this guy even going? Where'd he come from? How did he get by him? Isagi would dip and dodge through the entire team, and Bachira would watch this as he takes off down the field too, looking for a pass from him. Isagi would immediately chip the ball toward Bachira, and everybody on the field on the other team would look at this shot as if it's as if it's being shot as a goal. No, not everybody. Only people in the line of sight of Isagi. It seems as if one person in front of him, one to the slightly right of him, all reacted as if it was being shot as a goal, but the other people around him were reacting as if it was a pass to Bachira. But even the pass was hard to track. Bachira would get the ball, dribbling by one and then by another, nutmegging and dodging, but eventually when Bachira gets to the last person, the other person just completely whiffs on Bachira, like absolutely attacks the ball to his far left when the ball wasn't even there. It wasn't even close. But who was staring toward that direction? Isagi was. And immediately Bachira would score. And Bachira would look toward Isagi, and he could see his eyes spinning with the red color that he has currently. And he wonders, how is he able to do that? What is it? People think of it as some sort of disease, as if it's something about him that is bad. It's a genetic malfunction. It's something that wasn't supposed to be that way. But it's as if it's a gift. It's as if this infection in his eye, this pigment change, this red glimmer, this different genetic mutation, maybe it's different. Maybe it's not just some regular mutation. Maybe it's not just appearance-based. Maybe there's something to it. Isagi would line up and get ready once again, Bachira unable to even question him at this moment. I mean, they have a game to play. And Bado would look to take the ball and score, but it's as if Isagi, his defense was perfect to stop Bado. It was impossible for Bado to even get by him. It's as if his simplistic way of playing football just makes it so easy for Isagi to steal it from him. He steals it from him and lines up a pass for Kunigami, a beautiful one. In fact, Kunigami gathers it, and he gathers it with relative ease, shooting and scoring his first goal of the game. Now, this is a pretty damn good start if Isagi thinks so. I mean, and the whole team thinks so as well. Isagi's team feeds off their hot start and begin to completely lock up and dice up not only Bato, but his entire team. Bato is talented, extremely talented, and can score, but his simplistic way of playing football is easy for Isagi to see. His brute strength, though, would allow himself to actually outmuscle some of the players and would lead to Isagi kind of getting outplayed in one possession. But at the end of the day, when you outplay somebody for the entire game and they get one possession on you, it doesn't really matter. Bato may score 1 goal, max 2, but the game would end in the favor of Team Z, and Team Z by a large margin, winning by a score of about 6-1 or 2. Now, the game may be over, but it's obvious that these teams will only get better from here. Bato was a kind of a weird exception. His team kind of didn't really do much, and maybe that's because Bato is kind of hogging the ball all the time, but the miscoordination and so on and so forth, it's as if his skill alone wasn't able to get his team into the swing of things, so everything crumbled at its feet. Even with that said, though, they don't need to worry about that. They just need to worry about getting better as a team. And eventually they would have a conversation about what's going on in terms of their team coordination. They would speak about what they could do, what they were doing in the game, and frankly, who they should basically flow the ball through. And of course, Isagi wants the ball in his hands. Many others would argue that they want the ball in their hands, but obviously Bachira and Kunigami would say that Isagi seems to see the field different than everybody else. And did you see the type of things he was making the other team do even when he didn't have the ball in his hands? It's as if he was making them kind of and forcing them to like do different things that they didn't even want to do, or certain things that they were seeing that weren't actually happening. And of course they would question him about this, and Isagi would say that it's just a family secret, something he can't really speak about at this moment, but he tells them maybe in the future they'll speak about it. But he says that the short story of it is that it's all in the accursed eyes. He points at his eyes with his pinky finger and immediately would walk away, and he would kind of joke about it as he says he's going to go get some food with all of the assists and goals he got. And everybody stands there and they're kind of taken back by his nonchalantness, but at the same time how good he was on that field today. Now, it was insane. You can't really argue with the guy, how insanely good he was. And frankly, the next game against Team Y would just show how much better he is than everybody on the field, at least so far. And once that game against Team Y would begin, I mean, the simplistic ideas of their game plan with Nico and Okawa, well, it just wasn't even close. There wasn't enough duality with everything that they wanted to do, and there wasn't enough kind of going on. They would try to strike quickly with Okawa's speed, but Isagi would read it and forcing Nico to make a pass that was just completely wrong. The ball would get stolen by Raichi as he races up the field, but Isagi would look at Raichi and tell him to pass it. As he stares at Raichi, it's as if Raichi's body moves on its own, kicking the ball toward Isagi. Raichi's confused. Why did I kick it to him? What's happening? Isagi would look down the field, finding Kunigami down there for an easy goal from him. Raichi would tell Isagi that whatever he did, knock it off. He doesn't want to give him the ball just for the sake of it. He's forcing him to do it. But Isagi says he's not forcing him to do anything. That's not how his eyes work. He would wink toward Raichi, telling him that he's like a good dog. I mean, you know, a dog that really can protect the area beyond the halfway point. Maybe stick to defense. This is no longer high school, Mr. Raichi. And immediately Raichi would get mad about this, yelling toward Isagi as he would walk over about to hit him on the head, but as he swings his fist to bonk him on the head, and frankly he wasn't going to hit him that hard, Isagi would easily move out of the way. What does this guy have? Eyes behind the back of his head? This is ridiculous. And he would tell Raichi to calm down, that if he wants a goal, he'll get him a goal. How about that? But it'll be toward the end of this game. Just be ready to pounce on it. Isagi would kind of just peter him off and let him go away, and eventually would continue to pile on the goals with Bachira, Kunigami, with Gagomaru. And at the end of the game, toward the last 5 minutes, he would see Raichi racing down the field, saying that and telling him that the loser did say that he was going to give him a pass. Isagi smiles as he kicks the ball, perfectly placing it for Raichi as he kicks it into the goal. Isagi would laugh and say that he did promise a goal, so he got him the goal. Is he happy now? And of course Raichi would shake his head, saying that he should be scoring way more. Isagi says that's just not how the game is right now, and if they want to win in the long run, they need to conform to their talent. I mean, look at our goalie over there. I mean, he's a striker, right? He doesn't want to play goalie. I mean, who would want to play goalie? That's lame. And Isagi would say that maybe if they win this next game, guaranteeing them the win, he'll go play goalie himself. How about that? And they'll see how good they do at the end of it. And everyone's standing there in complete shock. What the hell is this guy talking about? What do you mean he'll go play goalie? Isagi says that if they win 3 games here, and they're basically guaranteed their way into the next selection. So if they want to see how good they can play on their own, well, they can figure that out on their own as well. We can even move all the people that are defenders to the striking positions and see how they do. Isagi would say this, but he says that they need to defeat the next team first, and then they'll talk. The game with Team Y, though, is then wrapped up and finished. Isagi's team absolutely dominated, putting up a 8-1 score, and it's just not even funny how badly they got beaten. Nico completely got outclassed, and Isagi says that he can never basically outthink Isagi, but he tells him that he has some potential, some really good potential. But it's just unfortunate that he's going to fall short just right now. He would then wave toward Nico, and he would give everyone else kind of like a pat on the back, and they would all celebrate, eating great food, and Isagi would spend a bunch of his points to get them the best food possible and stuff like that. But like he said, if they win the next game, he'll go sit back and relax and play goalie for a game against their final match. But their next match against Team W is against the Wanama Twins. And Isagi says that once they defeat them, they won't have to worry too much about it. There's a game plan that's schemed up. They talk about it for a little bit, but before Isagi could actually go anywhere, before he could kind of be told anything, he's actually going outside and he begins walking to a different room. As he walks by, it's as if he's ushered into that room, not by a person, but by a voice. As he walks in, he sees Jinpachi Ego. He looks toward Ego, and Ego begins to speak to Isagi, asking him more about his eyes. How do they work? What are they doing? And how is he kind of manipulating the field the way he does? It's nowhere near the way other people do it. It's as if he's making other people see things that many other people would never see in the first place. And Isagi tells him that since he's the owner of all this, and he graciously gave him this opportunity, he'll let him in on a little secret. The secret is his eyes kind of give this hypnosis state off. He hasn't been able to do it on a large scale, only through his minor vision. But he begins to say that the more he uses them, it's as if the wider his vision gets. And once he's able to see the entire field at the same time, he could theoretically maneuver everybody to his will. Literally, putting them all under this hypnosis, he could make them see, shoot, an American football. Shoot, he might be able to make them think that they're literally playing American football. In which Jinpachi Ego looks at him and he tells him to stop messing around. That he's obviously joking to that extent, and Isagi would raise his hands. Okay, you caught me. But some of that was true. I swear, some of it was. But still, I'm not going to give you all the information. What's the fun in that? Like you said, we're a bunch of unpolished gems. So I want to see what you can make out of me first, and then we can speak on what my abilities are. Of course, Jinpachi Ego is confused, but also intrigued, wondering that if this kid has some microchip in his brain or something, like how did he even get to this point? But Isagi says that it's a family heirloom. It's just, genetic. he would laugh about it, and he would say that it's been a pleasure speaking with him, and he's sure that he'll be speaking with him very soon again, because he assumes that the levels of this entire place will only increase more and more and more. Isagi would give him a peace out sign, and he would walk out the door. Ego would think to himself that the kid, he's very ominous, but interesting. Very interesting. So Ego would look intently at his computer at the team of Team Z and then the team of Team W. He wants to see how he approaches this match of Team W and see how he truly can manhandle and show exactly how much greater he is against this team. But that's going to have to wait until the next part of What If Isagi Had a Sharingan Weapon. And if you enjoyed, show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. And I hope y'all have an amazing day. Later.